Hi guys, Sam from Manfa's Makes. So it is now Sunday. I obviously filmed these two weekend videos on the same day, as I am still in the same clothes. But you know, I have to batch record as I have other work commitments and bits and pieces. And I do not want to let you guys down on the regular content that is here on my channel. So hi to you if you've come back yet again, and hi also if you are new. It is great to meet you. I am currently reading through this book here, Grimm's Complete Fairy Tales. There is a playlist up above if you would like to check those out if you haven't heard the stories before. So let's jump into it, shall we? Because I'm sure you are all having a fabulous Sunday and would like to get back to whatever it was that you were doing. So, story 9, The 12 Brothers. There were once upon a time a king and a queen who lived happily together and had 12 children, but they were all boys. Then said the king to his wife, "If the 13th child which you are about to bring into the world is a girl, the 12 boys shall die, in order that her possessions may be great, and that the kingdom may fall to her alone." He caused likewise 12 coffins to be made, which were already filled with shavings, and in each lay the little pillow for the dead, and he had them taken into a locked up room. And then he gave the queen the key of it, and bade her not to speak of this to anyone. The mother, however, now sat and lamented all day long, until the youngest son, who was always with her, and whom she had named Benjamin from the Bible, said to her, "Dear mother, why are you so sad?" "Dearest child," she answered, "I may not tell you." But he let her have no rest until she went and unlocked the room and showed him the 12 coffins ready filled with shavings. Then she said, "My dearest Benjamin, your father had these coffins made for you and for your 11 brothers, for if I bring a little girl into the world, you are all to be killed and buried in them." And as she wept while she was saying this, the son comforted her and said, "Weep not, dear mother, we will save ourselves and go away." But she said, "Go forth into the forest with your 11 brothers, and let one sit constantly on the highest tree which can be found, and keep watch, looking towards the tower here in the castle. If I give birth to a little son, I will put up a white flag, and then you may venture to come back. But if I bear a daughter, I will hoist a red flag, and then fly away as quickly as you are able, and may the good God protect you. And every night I will rise up and pray for you, in winter that you may be able to warm yourself at a fire, and in summer that you may not faint away in the heat." After she had blessed her sons, they went forth into the forest. They each kept watch in turn, and sat on the highest oak and looked towards the tower. When 11 days had passed and the turn came to Benjamin, he saw that a flag was being raised. It was, however, not the white, but the blood-red flag, which announced that they were all to die. When the brothers heard that, they were very angry and said, "Are we all to suffer death for the sake of a girl? We swear that we will avenge ourselves. Wherever we find a girl, her red blood shall flow." Thereupon they went deeper into the forest, and in the midst of it, where it was the darkest, they found a little bewitched hut which was standing empty. Then said they, "Here we will dwell, and you, Benjamin, who are the youngest and weakest, you shall stay at home and keep house. We others will go out and get food." Then they went into the forest and shot hares, wild deer, birds and pigeons, and whatever there was to eat. This they took to Benjamin, who had to dress it for them in order that they might appease their hunger. They lived together 10 years in the little hut, and the time did not appear long to them. The little daughter which their mother the queen had given birth to was now grown up. She was good of heart and fair of face, and had a golden star on her forehead. Once, when a big washing had been done, she saw 12 men's shirts among the things, and asked her mother, "To whom do those 12 shirts belong? For they are far too small for father." Then the queen answered with a heavy heart, "Dear child, these belong to your 12 brothers." Said the maiden, "Where are my 12 brothers? I have never yet heard of them." She replied, "God knows where they are, and they are wandering about the world." Then she took the maiden and opened the chamber for her, and showed her the 12 coffins with the shavings and pillows for the head. "These coffins," said she, "were destined for your brothers, but they went away secretly before you were born." And she related to her how everything had happened. Then said the maiden, "Dear mother, weep not, I will go and seek my brothers." So she took the 12 shirts and went forth, and straight into the great forest. She walked the whole day, and in the evening she came to the bewitched hut. Then she entered it and found a young boy, who asked, "Where do you come from, and where are you bound?" and was astonished that she was so beautiful, and wore royal garments, and had a star on her forehead. And she answered, "I am a king's daughter, and am seeking my 12 brothers, and I will walk as far as the sky is blue until I find them." She likewise showed him the 12 shirts which belonged to them. Then Benjamin saw that she was his sister, and said, "I am Benjamin, your youngest brother." And she began to weep for joy, and Benjamin wept also, and they kissed and embraced each other with the greatest love. But after this he said, "Dear sister, there is still one difficulty. We have agreed that every maiden whom we meet shall die, because we have been obliged to leave our kingdom on account of a girl." Then she said, "I will willingly die, if by doing I can save my 12 brothers." "No," answered he, "you shall not die. Seat yourself beneath this tub until our 11 brothers come, and then I will soon come to an agreement with them." She did so, and when it was night, the others came from hunting, and their dinner was ready. And as they were sitting at table and eating, they asked, "What news is there?" Said Benjamin, "Don't you know anything?" "No," they answered. He continued, "You have been in the forest, and I have stayed at home, and yet I know more than you do." "Tell us then," they cried. He answered, "But promise me that the first maiden who meets us shall not be killed." "Yes," they all cried, "she shall have mercy, only do tell us." Then said he, "Our sister is here," and he lifted up the tub, and the king's daughter came forth in her royal garments, with the golden star on her forehead, and she was beautiful, delicate, and fair. Then they were all rejoiced, and hugged and kissed, and loved her with all their hearts. Now she stayed at home with Benjamin and helped him with the work. The 11 went into the forest and caught game and deer and birds and wood pigeons, that they might have food, and the little sister and Benjamin took care to make it ready for them. She sought for the wood for cooking and herbs for vegetables, and put the pans on the fire, so that the dinner was always ready when the 11 came. She likewise kept order in the little house, and put beautifully white clean coverings on the little beds, and the brothers were always contented, and lived in great harmony with her. Once on a time the 2 at home had prepared a beautiful meal, and when they were all together they sat down and ate and drank, and were full of gladness. There was, however, a little garden belonging to the bewitched house, where there were 12 lily flowers, which are likewise called students. She wished to give her brothers pleasure, and plucked the 12 flowers, and thought she would present each brother with one while at dinner. But at the same moment that she plucked the flowers, the 12 brothers were changed into 12 ravens, and flew away over the forest, and the house and garden vanished likewise. And now the poor maiden was alone in the wild forest, and when she looked around, an old woman was standing near her, who said, "My child, what have you done? Why did you not leave the 12 white flowers growing? They were your brothers, who are now forevermore changed into ravens." The maiden said, weeping, "Is there no way of saving them?" "No," said the woman, "there is but one in the whole world, and that is so hard that you will not succeed at it, for you must be dumb for 7 years, and may not speak or laugh, and if you speak one single word, and only an hour of the 7 years is wanting, all is in vain, and your brothers will be killed by the one word." Then said the maiden in her heart, "I know with certainty that I shall set my brothers free," and went and sought a high tree, and she sat spinning, and she never spoke nor laughed. Now it so happened that a king was hunting in the forest, who had a great greyhound, which ran to the tree on which the maiden was sitting, and sprang about it, whining and barking at her. Then the king came by, and saw the beautiful king's daughter with the golden star on her brow, and was so charmed with her beauty that he called to ask her if she would be his wife. She made no answer, but nodded a little with her head. So he climbed up the tree himself, carried her down, placed her on his horse, and took her home. Then the wedding was solemnized with great magnificence and rejoicing, but the bride neither spoke nor smiled. When they had lived happily together for a few years, the king's mother, who was a wicked woman, began to slander the young queen, and said to the king, "This is a common beggar girl whom you have brought back with you. Who knows what impious tricks she practices secretly? Even if she is dumb and not able to speak, she still might laugh for once, but those who do not laugh have bad consciences." At first the king would not believe it, but the old woman urged this so long, and accused her of so many evil things, that at last the king let himself be persuaded, and sentenced her to death. And now a great fire was lighted in the courtyard in which she was to be burnt, and the king stood above at the window and looked on with tearful eyes, because he still loved her so much. And when she was bound fast to the stake and the fire was licking at her clothes with its red tongue, the last instant of the 7 years expired. Then a whirring sound was heard in the air, and 12 ravens came flying towards the place and sank downwards, and when they touched the earth they were her 12 brothers whom she had saved. They tore the fire asunder, extinguished the flames, set their dear sister free, and kissed and embraced her. And now, as she dared to open her mouth and speak, she told the king why she had been dumb and had never laughed. The king rejoiced when he had heard that she was innocent, and they all lived in great unity until their death. The wicked stepmother was taken before the judge and put into a barrel filled with boiling oil and venomous snakes, and died an evil death. Goodness gracious. It's not really a way you want to die, is it? I mean, nobody really wants to die, but the lengths you'll go to for those you love, I think, is the message there. Okay, and we have one more really short story, and it is story 10, The Pack of Ragamuffins. The cock once said to the hen, "It is now the time when our nuts are ripe, so let us go to the hill together and for once eat our fill before the squirrel takes them all away." "Yes," replied the hen, "come, we will have some pleasure together." Then they went away to the hill, and because it was a bright day they stayed till evening. Now I do not know whether it was that they had eaten till they were too fat, or whether they had become proud, but they would not go home on foot, and the cock had to build a little carriage of nutshells. When it was ready, the little hen seated herself in it and said to the cock, "You can just harness yourself to it." "Ha! I like that," said the cock. "I would rather go home on foot than let myself be harnessed to it. No, that is not our bargain. I do not mind being coachman and sitting on the box, but I will not drag it myself." As they were thus disputing, a duck quacked at them. "You thieving folks, who told you to go to my nut hill? Well, you shall suffer for it," and ran with open beak at the cock. But the cock also was not idle, and fell boldly on the duck, and at last wounded her so with his spurs that she begged for mercy, and willingly let herself be harnessed to the carriage as a punishment. The little cock now seated himself on the box and was coachman, and thereupon they went off in a gallop with "Duck, go as fast as you can." When they had driven a part of the way they met 2 foot passengers, a pin and a needle. They cried, "Stop, stop," and said that it would soon be as dark as pitch, and then they could not go a step further, and that it was so dirty on the road, and asked if they could not get into the carriage for a while. They had been at the tailor's tavern by the gate, and had stayed too long over the beer. As they were thin and did not take up much room, the cock let them both get in, but they had to promise him and his little hen not to step on their feet. Late in the evening they came to an inn, and as they did not like to go further by night, and as the duck also was not strong on her feet, and fell from one side to the other, they went in. The host at first made many objections. His house was already full, and he thought they could not be very distinguished persons. But at last, as they made pleasant speeches, and told him that he should have the egg which the little hen has laid on the way, and should likewise keep the duck which laid one every day, he at length said that they might stay the night. And now they had themselves well served, and they feasted and caroused. Early in the morning, when day was breaking and everyone was asleep, the cock awoke the hen, brought the egg, pecked it open, and they ate it together. But they threw the shell on the hearth. Then they went to the needle, which was still asleep, took it by the head, and stuck it into the cushion of the landlord's chair, and put the pin in his towel, and at last, without more ado, they flew away over the heath. The duck, who liked to sleep in the open air and had stayed in the yard, heard them going away, made herself merry, and found a stream, down which she swam, which was a much quicker way of travelling than being harnessed to a carriage. The host did not get out of bed for 2 hours after this. He washed himself and wanted to dry himself. Then the pin went over his face and made a red streak from one ear to the other. After this he went into the kitchen and wanted to light a pipe, but when he came to the hearth the eggshell darted into his eyes. "This morning everything attacks my head," said he, and angrily sat down on his grandfather's chair, but he quickly started up again and cried, "Woe is me!" for the needle had pricked him still worse than the pin, and not in the head. Now he was thoroughly angry, and suspected the guests who had come so late the night before, and when he went and looked about for them, they were gone. Then he made a vow to take no more ragamuffins into his house, for they consume much, pay for nothing, and play mischievous tricks as thanks. Yeah, that's a little bit of a tough lesson to learn with those that cannot be trusted. Okay, guys, so that was our 2 stories for today. I hope you enjoyed them. I do hope you are having a wonderful Sunday, and I will, of course, see you in the week with lots of videos and content and lives and things this week. So, thanks once again for popping over. I will see you very, very soon. Remember, stay safe, be kind, look after one another, get some good quality time in with your loved ones, and get some good quality crafting time. And I will see you very, very soon. Love you guys. Bye.